Today we are going to go over how I made this wiggle mouth and brow effect for Chief. And we're going to practice this on another child of mine, Zandy. So what you want to do to start to get this effect is select the parts that you'd like to wiggle. For Zandy, that'll be the top lip line, and bottom lip line. Now sometimes I don't select the bottom lip parts because it looks weird on some characters, but I think on Zandy it'll work. Once you select them, put them in a deformer together. I'm going to call this deformer Wiggle Mouth. And then this only needs to encompass the mouth when it is closed. So you don't need to worry about the mouth going out when it's open. Just encompass the mouth forms. Another thing to note is that you'd like the number of conversion divisions, the width, to be pretty high, probably around 25. And you'd also want to lower the amount of Bezier divisions for the height, because we don't need those. We do need the width though. That's gonna be, I usually use 8, but it's really up to how you want your look to be. Next, we're gonna create a new parameter. I'm gonna call it Wiggle Mouth. Give it an ID, just in case I want to copy it into another file. And you want to make sure this parameter is a blend shape that goes from 0 to 1. Once you have that, you're going to key 2 points, min and max, the wiggle mouth on the wiggle mouth parameter. Move your parameter to 1, and we're going to start deforming the wiggle. So I'm just moving up every other Bezier control here until I get the effect I want. Another thing to note is you want to make sure this smooth all option is open, or on rather. If you don't have smooth on, what's going to happen is it's going to be very stiff movement. You see how the control arms are very angular. When you put smooth all on, it gets very smooth, which is exactly what we want. Okay, let's see. Another thing to note is that for some mouths, you may have to flatten them before you deform them. I'll occasionally have another parameter here and call it mouth flatten and make that a blend shape that will also turn on when this toggle turns on. Zandy's mouth is relatively flat as is, so I don't really feel the need to do that. Okay, I think I'm happy with how this wiggle looks for now. It may look weird at first, but once it starts moving, it'll look much better. So I'm going to create another parameter. This is going to be the wiggle animation. Again, I like to name the IDs just in case I want to copy the parts to another file. This is going to be range 0 to 1. And after you create it, you're going to right click it again, edit it, and make sure you set it to repeat. This will make the animation much easier. Now, this part is what's really important. You're going to go ahead and take all the parts out of the wiggle mouth deformer. This is because we're going to key the wiggle mouth deformer on the new animation parameter we've just made, and we actually want the mouth to stay still while the deformer animates. So that'll make sense in a bit here. For now, I'm going to give the wiggle mouth a temporary movement deformer. Temp movement. And then I'm going to key the wiggle mouth onto the wiggle animation parameter. Now you can see here I have a guide in the middle. You want to make sure that guide lines up with the center Bezier division here. And I may even go ahead and add another conversion division just so it lines up perfectly. Once you do that, select both your temp movement and your wiggle mouth deformer, just so you can see the wiggle mouth deformer's Bezier divisions, and go ahead and move it to the left by 1. So you see, I'm trying to line it up with this Bezier division here. Once that's done, you can go ahead and delete your temp movement deformer. We're now going to animate the wiggle mouth on the wiggle animation parameter. So go ahead and move the value to 1 on the animation parameter and move the wiggle mouth over by 2 Bezier divisions. For those that may not know, Bezier divisions are these green little handles here. So as you see now, there's a looping parameter. The reason we judge the value based on the Bezier division is it'll appear as a perfect loop when we animate it later. Now that we've done that, I mentioned that we don't want the mouth to move on that animation parameter, so we'll select all the parts again, and we're going to go ahead and make a new deformer. You can call this whatever you want. I usually will name things anchor if the deformer's purpose is to anchor the object. I'll also shrink this a tad. Once you have that anchor made, you're going to go ahead and key it on the wiggle animation parameter and do nothing with that key. Make sure you do not move this. Once that's done, you can go ahead and drag it under the wiggle mouth deformer. Now you'll notice when you start the wiggle mouth blend shape that it's not as smooth as it was before, and that's because we're going to need to make our wiggle anchor have more conversion divisions widthwise. You may as well just match the divisions you put before. So our wiggle mouth deformer has 26, so I'll make the anchor also 26. And as you see, the wiggle has come back. Now, because we keyed the anchor onto the wiggle animation, but we didn't move it, the mouth now appears to be wiggling smoothly, but it doesn't move left and right like this deformer is. And this is what gives us that wiggle effect. Now what we want to do is go ahead and select everything that's keyed on this wiggle mouth blend shape. We're going to go up here, and then we're going to limit settings for the blend shape weights. In here, we don't want the wiggle mouth to activate if the mouth is open. So here, this is the mouth value of 0, and this 100% is how effective the wiggle is. This is mouth value of 1, which is max, and the wiggle effectiveness is 0. You may also want to consider doing this, so when the mouth is half open, the wiggle is also 0, and it shuts down the wiggle faster. So as you see here, here is our regular wiggle, but when the mouth is open, it's back to normal. This is a pretty non-destructive way of adding this toggle to a previous model. To get this working as a toggle, you're going to have to add a motion to the idle of your model. I'm just going to create a new idle for Zandy for demonstration purposes. All you need to key in your idle is the wiggle animation. So we're going to key at 0. I'm going to go a ways off, key it at 2, and make sure to end the animation the key before the last key. Right here. Now to preview your animation, turn the wiggle mouth on and play it. Now you can see if you think it's too fast, too slow, and adjust it as you'd like. I'm happy with that, so I'm gonna go with that for now. Once you have your animation made, you can go into the physics settings and link your animation into your model's physics. To do that, go to Playlist up here and Settings of the CMO3 linkage. You can see it already detected what I last opened, and you just go ahead and load that. Then you're going to go to Playlist tab, add a new playlist. We can just call it Wiggle, or even Wiggle Mouth, and click the Add button here. Once you click the Add button, you can go back to your Physics tab, and you'll see that Scene 1 is now here. When you play it, your wiggle will start. And now you can preview what it will look like live. Now, one mistake I made doing this is I kept the wiggle mouth blend shape keyed on this. You don't want to have that keyed in the final, but luckily it will save what I did there. So you see, it's no longer keyed, it updates live as I save that animation. So basically how the toggle works is all you need to do is turn the wiggle mouth on, and this is how the character will look. And you see when the mouth opens, it stops. You may need minor adjustments. Try to do most of them on the blend shape so it's non-destructive as possible to all your previous work. You may also want to only have it active when the mouth is sad or when the eyebrows are sad. You can do all that in the blend shape limits like I showed earlier. This toggle is super simple and you can use it for several things. I have it available for my clients for the mouth and the eyebrows, but I'm sure it could be used with other tricks as well. I hope this was helpful.